Hey there guys, what is going on? Like we normally do when the patch notes do drop, we're taking a look at them, reading through them and letting you guys know what has changed. If you are too lazy to read the patch notes, I'll read them for you. Do not worry about that. Of course, these are the launch week patch notes. The game has been out for about a week now and there's been some mixed reaction that I've seen on Twitter, but for the most part, the people who are actually in the game seem to be having a pretty good time, and I'm one of those people. I actually am really enjoying this game, so we'll see what gets on in these particular patch notes. There's lots of stuff to cover here. I've already had a flick through with this, and there is a lot of things that we need to talk about today. So the first little bit here of these particular patch notes is essentially just like bigging themselves up about how many people have been playing when Nuketown launches, which is the 24th, so we're going to be jumping into that then. We got game stability issues, player experience, the top priorities as usual. That makes sense. They want to squash bugs as quickly as possible. Anything that does come up, they're looking to make it right as soon as possible. Essentially, we are looking at the Trello board as well. This is essentially the one-stop destination for all of the changes that they are tracking, issues and stuff like that, things that they are looking at. We'll take a look at that just quickly. Treyarch does usually use the Trello boards to let us know about what is going on and what they know about, what is upcoming fixes and stuff like that. And this is a fairly good place for them to let us know what they are working on and stuff like that. So if you do want to flick through this, make sure you do go check out these patch notes and check out the Trello board for yourself. Right, so starting us off here, we do have the free Nuketown weapon bundle, of course. If you have played between the launch of the game and I think the 3rd of December, you'll unlock a new weapon blueprint and a bunch of other stuff, including like Nuketown stuff, which is very, very cool. Here you see the shotgun here. That's going to look very, very nice. If you haven't seen any of the screenshots and stuff of Nuketown, make sure you do go check it out. It's very, very cool. This is looking to be one of the best looking Nuketowns we've ever seen so far. Of course, there is a bunch of discussion here about the leveling and how it does work here. Essentially, once you do complete the military ranks 1 to 55, you prestige. It sort of happens automatically, which is a little bit strange. Normally, you have to go into a menu and be like, hey, I want a prestige, and it does it for you. But that is when you enter the season levels, of course. These levels represent the new prestige progression journey. So you can basically level up at the moment from sort of 1 to 55, and then I think up to like 300 it would be, so prestige 3 at season level 100, which is pretty wild. Like there's a long way to go here, there's a lot of stuff to cover, and basically you do earn sort of prestige keys when you do prestige again, which you can actually use to let you unlock sort of prestige tokens from previous games. As a reminder, basically all the progression is connected between Modern Warfare, Warzone and stuff like that, and of course Cold War, so that is an easy way to sort of move between these games and have your same progression across the board. But what you're probably all waiting here for today is of course some weapon balancing, which is of course very, very exciting here, and is most represented in my disappointment by this ill-timed Discord message that I sent yesterday. As you can see here, of course, the assault rifle category, the FFAR1, has increased recoil, slightly reduced maximum damage by 3.5%, 28 damage to 27 damage, which is not a super big reduction. You're still going to get the same amount of kills as a result of that damage number. The reduced max damage range by 34%, though, is fairly significant. 38 meters to 25 meters is actually a very large nerf. And essentially the FFAR, which was one of the best assault rifles in the game that I was seeing, was massively underrated. Like people weren't even looking at it, but I know all the pros were using it, and a lot of higher level players actually noticed that this gun was pretty good. Now they've hopefully brought it back into line with some of the other weapons, which is a little bit disappointing. Like I didn't even get a chance to make a class setup on it. I'll take a look and see if it is still any good, and we'll move on from there. In terms of the submachine guns, the submachine gun alpha, which is of course the MP5, this is the nerf we did see a couple of days ago. We saw that on Twitter. The video made it about it a couple of days ago. But apparently, which is hilarious, update, these changes were unintentionally reverted in today's update and will return in an upcoming update, meaning that the MP5 is broken again. So the range has gone up by 33% as a result of the last change, and the recoil is fixed again. So go mess around with the MP5 because it's still the best gun in the game, because it's still broken, because they didn't actually fix it. So hopefully they do end up returning that nerf very, very soon. Of course, we have seen some changes to a lot of the tactical rifles here, in which the M16 and the AUG have both been nerfed. We've reduced the max damage range by 15%, increased the sprint to fire time, slightly slowed the move speed while firing, slightly increased delay between bursts, rebalanced fire rate bonuses on barrel attachments, and slightly reduced effectiveness of laser attachments. Essentially, they have made the M16 worse overall, and that is a necessary thing that they did. It was one of the only things, it just killed too quickly. That was simple as that. Like, with the actual bursts, the amount of damage it did and the amount of health you had, most of the time you're getting a 1 to 2 burst, and in that time period, like even if you didn't get a 1 burst, you had enough time to get a 2nd burst off, meaning like assault rifles and SMGs really just couldn't keep up because you just dealt so much damage. Tactical Rifle Charlie, which I believe is of course the AUG, did have its maximum damage range reduced as well by 20%, which is a fairly significant one as well. It did have more damage range than the actual M16, which is kind of nice still, and it does still do a decent amount of damage at range. We've also increased the sprint to fire time, slowly slowed move speed while firing, slightly increased delay between bursts, rebalanced fire rate bonuses on barrel attachments, and slightly reduced effectiveness of laser attachments. So it seems like the AUG will still be a usable weapon in this game. They didn't actually nerf it too much, but we'll have to go wait and see, test out all these things and see what's good, what's bad, and so on. We've increased the Type 63's fire rate, which is fairly interesting, and we've rebalanced fire rate bonuses on barrel attachments. The Type 63 is an underrated weapon for sure. It does good damage. Like, that single shot weapon is of course very, very nice here. The DMR 14 also saw the same increases that the Type 63 is. Hopefully these weapons are sort of brought back into line, making a little bit better and sort of more close to the actual burst rifles, because they are very, very strong. And the Type 63 in particular is actually a very cool weapon. The light machine guns, in particular the M60, have improved max damage ranges and improved movement speed, which is of course very, very interesting. I mean, LMGs are in a pretty bad spot at the moment. They're in a pretty rough state in which you really can't compete for the most part on most of them with like those faster weapons. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with the LMGs. For all of the sniper rifles, they have adjusted the sprint to fire times to account for early blend interruption, allowed via animation system, which is interesting. I have no idea what that means, but I mean, they've made the sprint to fire times like actually match up with the animations. The effective sprint to fire time is notably shorter than what was displayed in the Gunsmith. We have plans to address the Gunsmith readout in the future. They've adjusted movement speed impact when firing to intended values to make each shot feel more powerful, and the fine-tuned barrel attachments that improve idle sway to provide a unique feel to each gun. So it doesn't seem like they've affected sort of any of the aim down sight problems or anything like that that a lot of people are experiencing, but I mean, it's a very fine line with the snipers. I mean, when you do get killed by a sniper rifle in this game, it feels terrible, but when you're using them, they also feel really bad, which is a really bad place for them to be in at the moment. The pistols, of course, the Magnum has seen a slightly improved fire rate and improved max damage range, which is of course very, very good, and improved visibility while firing after the first shot. The Magnum could be a little bit difficult to fire, especially when you're sort of trying to hit people. You've already hit someone once, you got an easy shot on them, and then the next shot can be a little bit difficult to fire, so hopefully that is made a little bit better. They've also slightly reduced the damage range on, I believe it's the Spaz 12, the second shotgun, which is a little bit sad. I think they've made that kind of bad now. So between the damage ranges of 5.8 meters and 7.7 meters, the damage is reduced. And then we do have a bunch of adjustments to game modes that aren't super relevant. Like, nothing here is actually sort of game breaking or game changing or anything like that. We've seen a number of changes to score streaks. I'm going to go over all of them. The combat bow has had its ammo reduced from 5 to 4. The care package has had its cost increased. Sentry turret has had its cost reduced. Napalm strike cost increased. Air patrol reduced. Artillery increased. Cruise missile. No, my boy. The cruise missile got increased! Oh, that's unfortunate. We'll have to keep using that because it is an absolute banger of a kill streak in this game. War machine got increased because it's very, very powerful. The attack helicopter also got increased, but it also looks like it got buffed as well. Increased the damage per bullet from 50 to 75, which is fairly interesting. They've increased the health from 4,500 to 5,000 and decreased the duration of the screen shake from bullet impacts and reduced the amount of time the helicopter will stay in one place before relocating. So all good changes to the attack helicopter apart from the cost increase, which I mean is fairly interesting. Like, making it more expensive but also making it better is a fairly good option. They have reduced the cost of the VTOL escort, which is fairly interesting, from 8,500 to 8,000, and increased the turret burst length and reduced cooldown time, which is fairly interesting, making it more powerful overall. And the chopper gunner has seen its cost increase from 6,000 to 6,500, and they reduced the movement on the gun when firing, which is an increase to its ability to kill people. In the maps, we've basically seen a particular bug fix in the little crawl space on Garrison. Apparently, people were colliding with other people, which is of course very, very dumb. In the equipment section, the Tomahawk can now be thrown immediately at the start, so you can get those sort of rounds starting, like Tomahawk kills, especially effective on S&D, which is absolutely hilarious. So there's a slight change to eliminations here, meaning you are more likely to get more eliminations if you are sort of getting a lot of assists. If you do damage someone, they've extended the time after damaging an enemy that will count towards an elimination if somebody else does kill them, which is very, very nice here. They've improved some finishing move animations and actually ability to trigger them, which is of course very, very nice. And there is of course a lot of stability and fixes here. I'm not going to go through all of them because there is an absolute ton of them. But basically, all you need to know is that they're fixing a lot of the crashes, or at least they're attempting to fix a lot of the crashes. I mean, I have experienced, I wouldn't say a lot of crashes. I think I've probably crashed 3, 4, 5 times since I've started playing this game, and that's in about a week or so, which is not too bad, but I mean, those still need to get fixed, which is of course very, very nice here. If you are of course having specific problems, you can like pause the video at this section or go check out the patch notes for yourself. The Scorestreaks have also had bug fixes and stuff like that, which is fairly interesting. Like, it's always good to make things work in this game. Progression, vehicles, equipment, field upgrades, kill cam, and perks, of course, have all sort of had their stuff increased, etc. Perks fixed a very rare crash that could occur when the forward intel perk attempted to adjust the player's minimap range while the player was not alive at the time. That is very dumb. Of course, there's more miscellaneous fixes here as well. Basically, there's UI fixes, etc. If you are having specific problems, they're probably going to get fixed eventually. And that includes a lot of this stuff here, like gunsmith, vehicles, progression, and of course the UI. So hopefully they do end up fixing a lot of this stuff eventually. In the zombies game mode, we have improved general zombie pathing, which is of course very, very good. And enemies will now use their out of bounds attacks against players in more unintended locations. So what I've seen is there is a specific spot in the zombies game mode where I think you can like stand on top of each other, completely bug out the game, and they can't attack you, and you can just shoot zombies forever. And I'm guessing that's not going to be able to happen anymore because they will be able to attack you. And they have closed various exploitable locations where the player could leave the intended play space. So that's what I'm talking about there as well. Those two things do combine. So if you do manage to get into one of those spots, the zombies will be able to attack you, but most of those spots have been fixed now, apparently. Stability and bug fixes as well for zombies. I'm not going to read through all these either, but no, they've fixed some stuff with perks, field upgrades, weapons, progression, hard visuals, loot, post-migration, gunsmith, mystery box, equipment, sensitivity, Dead Ops Arcade 3, and of course, Onslaught. Lots of different stuff getting changed here, of course, in the zombies, which is always good to see. If there's problems, hopefully they will end up fixing them. We've of course seen a change to the aim response curve type options in the settings. I believe that is a specific controller only setting, which is of course very, very nice here, which you do want to see sort of game changes and stuff like that that do make the game better. Stability, of course, we've got stability fixes, bug fixes again with progression, camos, attachments, of course. I've not seen a lot of these fixes myself. Like, a lot of these bugs that they appear to be fixing, I've not actually experienced a lot of problems with this game, but I'm sure you guys have as well. So hopefully they do address some of your issues here. The PC, like, again, very, very similar stuff as well. Like, it's just fairly similar stuff. They fix stuff that's broken, and that's always good. There are a number of known issues that they are attempting to fix. Apparently, there is a DualShock 4 error that if you are trying to play the campaign, it reckons that you're not having controller input, and then you just can't complete the campaign. So hopefully they did manage to actually fix that. Not 100% sure, but I think they did. And then a lot of progression, split screen, combat record, fireteam, dirty bomb parties, calling card, score streaks, and chat, of course, fixes. Very, very important that they do know about these things, and eventually they're trying to fix them. The PC, various stability issues are currently being investigated. They're not being fixed just yet because they don't really know what's causing them, but they are looking at fixing them. So, and again, nothing super interesting in this lot. And of course, the keyboard and mouse fixes that are generally sort of not very interesting as well. And that is all the patch notes that we've got here. I'm very, very excited, of course, for Nuketown to drop. It should be very, very soon. I believe it is the 24th or 25th, depending on where you do live. But of course, these patch notes are very, very promising here. The actual ability so that they can just go in and change a lot of these weapons, unlike sort of Modern Warfare's reluctance to seemingly change some of their weapons for a long, long time. So hopefully this does stick around and they do continuously change a lot of the weapons here, make stuff new, make stuff better, make stuff worse that's too strong, and so on. Hopefully they do end up continuing that throughout the year. Anyway, we have a lot of weapons to test out, a lot of things to make sure is good, is bad, we will see. There's a lot of stuff to cover, so I better get back to that. Thank you very much for watching this patch note video, guys. If you did enjoy it, make sure you do leave a like and do subscribe if you are new around here. Of course, I do very much appreciate it, and it has very much helped me out. And I will, of course, see you in the next video. Bye!